Welcome to Uncluttered and Unfiltered, the podcast urging you to let it go and don't look back. With nationally acclaimed professional organizer Christine Stone and self-proclaimed hot damn mess radio and TV personality Eden Kendall.
Welcome back to Uncluttered and Unfiltered. We are so pleased that you decided to come back again.
So excited.
Christine Stone of Neatly Designed. I'm Eden Kendall of lots of different broadcasting things,
So many.
radio, TV, here in Florida. And we noticed that we have now met lots of you guys from around the world.
I know. I love it.
Being unorganized and being organized and being 50 and being 60, these are all things that are global phenomenons, believe it or not.
I totally agree. I think every woman over 50, like you said, just wants to find her people.
Yeah, and we hope that we are your people. We are on every side of the spectrum when it comes to, you name the topic. And yet somehow we always find that common bond, Christine and I do. And so that's what we're hoping you will find today. Also, no matter what our topic is, at the end of the show, we always will make sure we leave you with some kind of gem, something that's going to get you back on track organizationally.
Yes.
But the show in and of itself is about being 50 plus, being 60 plus, being wherever you are right now. And today we're talking about something that right off the bat, I can look at the table in front of us and see where we are different. Christine has a legal pad in front of her.
Yes.
A notepad and a pen.
I'm a big old school note taker.
I have my iPad.
She has her iPad.
And it's a note-taking app. And I have a little iPencil.
Yes.
And everything I do is electronic. For some reason, when it comes to this, I can handle it. Technology, when you're 50 and over, can be a real pain in the you-know-what.
It is probably the number one thing that causes so much frustration, aggravation for everybody I know that is over 50. It is just the minute you start to learn something new, they come out with something else.
It's crazy.
And so you really get frustrated because you're like, I finally just learned that. And now you're changing it. So I like that this is something we can talk about, and everybody, we'd love to hear your comments on if you struggle with this, because I really struggle with this.
And it's not just technology, although you could take social media and technology and put them in two completely different podcasts, but they do go hand in hand a lot of times. But the technology in itself, let's talk about group texting, text threads. Every time you get used to your phone, they come out with another
a new
model.
one. Yeah.
Now the cord doesn't fit.
Yep.
Now you don't have to be a granny. I remember they came out with a phone. Do you remember this? I can't even think of the name of it, but they named it after a bug, and it was just a phone that did nothing.
Jitterbug.
Jitterbug.
Oh yeah.
And they call it.
I want one of those.
All it does is call people. They just calls people.
I eventually might have to get to that. But yeah, I'm getting a new computer and I'm dreading it. How do you dread getting a new computer? But it's because I know it's going to be different. I know it's going to work differently. And so I've really put it off for almost a year and a half because I just am dreading it. So I just think this is a topic that everyone doesn't talk about, but I think it's a real issue when you're over 50.
I think there's also a struggle to try to show off that you know what you're talking about, at least for me.
For you, it is. For me, I've thrown in the towel.
Yeah.
I mean, for you like to learn everything, and I love that. For me, I just go to younger people. That's the thing. I have learned to ask for help and have the younger generation help me, whether it's my daughters or people that work for me. I just need help because the amount of time I'll spend trying to figure it out. I mean, it's crazy. It's just such a wasted time when somebody else goes, give me that.
Yeah.
And then they can do it in 2 seconds.
That is frustrating, especially when that person who can do it in 2 seconds is 12.
Right. So true.
Let's start here with the texting, because you and I, in the course of putting together this podcast, have communicated more in the last month than we have in the years and years of our
that
friendship.
We've known each other.
And the method that I use, don't feel badly if you say it's annoying, because my son has told me I do these little tiny texts, like one after another, and I bombard, and I can't help it. I'm a wild monkey on the text threads. I get an idea in my head and I got to share it.
And I'm the exact opposite. I mean, exact opposite, which is what I love, because there are so many people out there like you, and then there's so many people out there like me. I like to pick up the phone, say everything we have to say, be done with it in a 3-minute phone call. And while we're on the phone, I have my trusty notepad and I take notes. I do not like texting. I do it, of course. I mean, you have to, but I think things get lost in translation. You think you sound mean, even though you're not really even being mean. You just, did that come off nasty? And then you start to overanalyze it. And I just think it's a lost art of calling someone, saying what you want to say, and be done with it.
True. Very true. And I agree. And here's the thing. I don't know if I'm the only one who does this, but I annoy myself. I annoy myself when I go back through and I'll like look at my text threads and I'll say, oh my gosh, what? I'll say something and then I'll take it back and then I'll say it again. And I do this. This is me. I'm the scattered approach to everything in my life, which is why I need a friend like you. I want to focus on something that requires a certain etiquette. Group texts. There has to be
the bane of my existence.
A rule,
yes.
Right? There has to be.
Yes.
What is the rule? Like, because I've been put on group text. I don't think you should ever put people who don't know each other on a group text together, because I will be on a group text with people and I've got the in-laws of that person. And unless it's like a medical emergency where we want to update everybody at once, man, it's weird when you're on a group text.
Well, my daughter just got married in May. And all of a sudden, we now have a group text because he's my son-in-law. I'll say things to the girls and to my husband, forgetting that poor Derek is on this group text. And I'll say, sorry, Derek, I forgot, like, whether it's a feminine thing because it's me and my daughters or whatever. The group text thing, I'm not a big fan of either, unless it's something you have to really tell everybody, like, no, we're changing restaurants, we're going to so-and-so or whatever. Because there's so much room for error in those group texts, which brings me to a funny story you told me.
This is so bad. I was getting my hair done and I texted my husband and he replied, oh, this is terrible. He replied with, what time are you getting your hot ass home?
I love this.
Or something, maybe it was even more direct, like bring that hot ass home, or something equally as disgusting if you're the child of this man, which he put that text in the family group thread. So the first thing I see in the family group text is, get your hot ass home. And then the next thing I see is Noah has left the conversation.
Well, that's
and then I get a big ooh from the girl.
Right.
I mean, it's just dangerous.
It is dangerous for us older people because
you gotta be careful.
I'm now called a boomer, which I didn't really think I was until I looked it up the other night when you and I were texting, and I am officially boomer 2. I'm not boomer 1, I'm boomer 2. So I guess they've broken it into categories. And the reason being, I texted my daughter the night before, and the next morning, I thought she had texted me, are you up? And it's an hour earlier her time, which means it's like 6 in the morning. And I go, yeah, I'm up. Call me. Because I thought, why is she texting me? I looked down, it was the text that I had sent her. And so when she called me at like 8:30, she goes, what's up? I go, I texted you thinking that you would text me. She goes, Mom, that's a boomer thing to do. So I'm officially just accepting it. It's a boomer thing. I am in that where I make these silly technological mistakes, and it is what it is.
2 more technological things that I've done. Tell me if you have. Leaving your flashlight on your phone. Like somehow I turn that flashlight on and I'll be just in public with the flashlight on. This mortifies my kids.
I haven't done that one.
Okay, what about pulling out your phone to see a menu and turning on your flashlight?
Well, I used to do that before I got contacts. Now I have contacts, so I don't need to do that anymore, but I used to do that all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, the eyesight goes too. I mean,
you leave the flashlight on and all of a sudden you are like 2 steps away from the grave. I'm sorry.
Yes.
My flashlight is on. Then you start getting into the other forms of, there's the social media part of it too. My son had this very loud conversation behind closed doors one day and we're like, who are you talking to in there? Grandma, she wants to get on Twitter. Well, that can't be a good idea.
Yeah.
Why does grandma want to be on Twitter?
I mean, I have to be honest here. I have thrown in the social because whenever I finally get something on social media, they change it.
Yeah.
I don't care what platform it's on. So I pretty much have given up. I mean, I'm not a huge social media person personally. For my business, I do social media, but I'm not into personal because it's just gotten overwhelming. I feel that I spend so much time doing things that I feel like I could be doing something better or different, or even sitting outside, enjoying having a glass of wine on your patio, listening to music. I just feel like everybody's always looking down at their phones. And, I think at my age, because I grew up in the 70s, I think that I came from a different era where, everybody had conversations, nobody had cell phones, and I miss it. I have to admit, I miss it. So, I mean, I've kind of learned to live with it because you really don't have a choice. My mom's 83, so I really feel bad for her because she tries so hard and she thinks when you comment on Facebook that you're in a private conversation with that person. They had to tell her to stop doing that. So I think it's just a generational thing.
You know what I think too? I think that I probably make some of the same mistakes that my grandmother used to make when I first got an answering machine, where she would sign her messages. Like she would do a whole speech, and then at the end
machines too.
She'd say, "Love, Nana," at the end. And I would laugh, and I was like, "Nana, it's an answering machine. You don't have to sign it." And then my mom signs her texts. Love, Mom.
I know.
And so I'm thinking there's got to be a lot of that I'm doing that my kids, this is, you think you have it, like you've said from the beginning of this podcast, that you think you have a handle on it. And the next thing you know, you are completely behind.
Yes. During COVID, that's when TikTok became really popular, and my two kids were living with us. And I mean, one night my daughter was like this is what they did for like 4 weeks during COVID when we were on lockdown. They just made TikTok after TikTok. And finally she was putting the phone right in front of my face to make fun of me doing something. And I said, back away with the TikTok. Literally. And she videotaped that. I mean, it just, you can't keep up. There's so much you can when you're young. I feel like you can accept and learn new things constantly over and over when you're younger. I just think for me, it's just, I love it, but I can't keep up with it.
I can't tell you how many times I have turned around and my daughter is Snapchatting with someone and I'm in the background looking like a goober.
It happened for 4 weeks straight, whether it was Snapchat, TikTok. Yeah, no, I'm used to it. Now I have a rule, though. When they come home, I'm like, no videotaping of your mother. That's it. I don't want to be videotaped. They'll ask me a question and pretend that I'm,
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they'll like slyly pull their phone. And I'm like, what did I tell you? No videotaping your mother. So I have like these rules on, during Thanksgiving, I had a basket one year and I made everyone put their phones in the basket, and they're like, no. I said, put the phones in the basket. For one meal, we can all look at each other and we can all talk to each other, and you can have your phones back after the meal. And I actually have to tell you, it was one of the best Thanksgivings we ever had. So
I'm sure it was.
It was great.
I'm sure it was. I remember many nights, this goes way back, but when the kids were little and say the power was out or the cable was off, and you end up playing board games and you end up doing the kind of things that you normally wouldn't because, hey, you're watching TV
right.
or what have you. The slyness, boy, I want to make sure we don't totter over the edge of being crotchety about it.
I think I have just resigned the fact that this is what happens when you get older. You just accept what you can accept, and then you give the rest to someone younger who can help you, who can teach you, and not try to frustrate yourself. I mean, watching my husband try to figure something out, that's something I should videotape because he's further behind than me. So, I mean, I think it's just, like I said earlier, a generational thing, I mean, back in the old days, you didn't, I'm sure you did have all this different type of technology, but in a different form, in a different way.
I hope that what this podcast is offering everybody right now is the same thing I'm getting out of it, which is kind of that safe space, that place where, listen, I'm still on the radio here in town, and I work with people that are younger, and there is technology out there that I don't get. And yes, I will fake it till I make it on a lot of things. So in this conversation, in this space, I feel safe to say, I'm in over my head.
Yeah.
I need help. I need to ask more than I do for help. I need to stop being the first one with my hand in the air saying I can do it, because I've got that whiplash from looking behind me about someone younger coming along trying to steal my cheese. I think that it's part of embracing where you are, letting it go and not looking back. I can let it go. I don't know how to do this.
Well, that's how I feel when people give me like short code texting. I'll look at my husband, I'll go, do you know whatever? And he goes, no, I don't know. And I go, well, then how are we supposed to know what they're saying? The only thing I know is LOL, and that's it. Him and I, we didn't learn anything yet. We just go, okay. So back to what we originally said, you are a texter. And so I have found it fascinating because I'll have to scroll all the way back, which, by the way, the little bubble thing goes when I'm scrolling so far back because it can't catch up. That's how much I get confused because I'm having to go back and look, whereas my trusty notepad, I can just write everything down. And when I'm done with something, I check it off or I cross it out. I'm going to say it here and now, I'm old school. Okay. I am old school.
And I will receive that. And this is where you meet in the middle. These are the conversations you have with your friends. And you know what? If you are 50 plus, you might need to have that conversation with your friends. You might need to sit down with your friends and say, listen, we've been friends for a while, and but I heard on this podcast that it's true. Like, that is a divisive thing with people. I prefer this. You prefer that. Let's meet in the middle. Text me. You're getting close to our meeting destination. Hey, everybody, group this at such and such a time. But let's not have full-on conversations back and forth, right? Because it's just too much.
And I think, honestly, either something gets left out of the conversation that's important, or it just gets misconstrued. Like automatically you're being mean or whatever it is, short, whatever. And it's not really the truth. It's not ever how it really is. So I just think if it's a longer conversation that needs to be had, it should be in a phone call, because other than that, it's twice the amount of work for me. When you have a job and when you have a family and you have things you have to be doing, it's easier for me. Let's say it. And then unless it's like, walking in or meet at Carrabba's or whatever it is. But when it's a long thing, for me, it's easier if I talk to someone on the phone and have them say what they need to say.
So the let it go and don't look back today, I would think, would be willing and honest and open if something in technology is different for you or uncomfortable for you, or you find yourself in a position of feeling like you're not communicating or receiving what somebody is telling you, because frankly, it's just going to improve your relationship. It's just going to make your life easier. Instead of trying to fake it till you make it like I always do, moving forward, I'm going to try to be a little more open to asking somebody for help.
Well, that's what I was going to say. My takeaway is don't be scared, intimidated to ask someone who is maybe under 40 to help. Whatever it is it to write a blog? Is it to show you how to use a new Apple product, or whatever it is? Because let me tell you something, it is so much easier and less time consuming to just ask for help. I mean, that's my new thing. That's what I do. So
the minute you let go of that feeling of I have to be this way, I need to be that way, there's a freedom that comes from that.
Yes.
And it's a freedom that, frankly, I just probably realized in this very moment. Like in this moment, I have realized, because I've now confessed how in over my head I truly can get. So I think that that's very freeing. And Uncluttered and Unfiltered is designed for you to unclutter your life. And if your life is cluttered with texts from a friend who doesn't want to pick up the phone and call you, or trying to learn how to use your new computer that you're getting, whatever the case may be. But there's something that is physical clutter that goes along with everything we're saying right now.
Yes.
And that physical clutter is the cords.
The cords that go along, with the technology. And I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, we have video, by the way. We haven't even talked about the fact that we're doing video today.
I can show everyone. What I have seen in my job is cord clutter, whether it's kids' cords, your cords. There are so many products now, watches, iPads, phones, iPods. I mean, there's just so many cords. And if you don't stay on top of it, then everybody, how many times has everyone said, God, what does this go to? I can't remember. I know it went to something. Oh, I'll find it. And then they shove it back in the drawer and they never find it.
I have a drawer. It's my nightstand. Oh, Christine.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're not alone.
You open the drawer and it's like an octopus is living in there and it's coming out at you. It's like the Hydra.
Well, you're not alone. I see it all the time. And this is just one way. It has a lid. I've labeled every single one so I know. And also my husband loves it because he can grab it. He sees, because we have the same products, and he sees what he needs. And when my kids go in, they steal these constantly when they come home. And then I know what I need to go rebuy, that's why it's always important to stay organized, because you're not overbuying. You're only buying what you need.
So let me paint a picture for you in case you don't see a photo or a video of this. What I'm looking at now is like a clear lucite box.
With a lid.
With a lid and dividers.
Yes.
And there are 8 compartments, although I imagine there are different varieties.
There's so many different varieties.
And you have taken a label maker and you've put phone, watch, iPad, and you've got, and even though the phone and the iPad are the same, essentially, I like that you have 2 separate compartments, because if you start interchanging them, you're going to be missing one eventually.
Well, like I said, my kids constantly come home and I'm like, where's my phone cord? And so that way I know, I need to go get another phone cord, or we have a lot of adapters, but we have no cords. So you don't want to go buy another one that has an adapter attached to the cord. I just need the cord. Being organized, you'll hear me say this all the time, it prevents overbuying, which saves money.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I've gone out and purchased something that's either a cord or an adapter because I didn't want to have to hassle with finding it.
Yes. Well, you're not alone there either.
Exactly. Exactly. So what else, my friend, do we want to say in this particular episode? Let's sing. Let's rack our brains.
I think the only good takeaway from me is to have people help you, which we've already discussed, is don't try to beat yourself up over it and go, why can't I learn this? Why is this taking so long? It's okay to say, I need someone. When my daughter comes home, I drive her nuts. I'm like, how do you do this? How do you do that? But she'll sit down and she'll show me. And I have to tell you, I think since my 60s, which I've only been in for a few weeks, by the way, I really have learned to let it go. I don't beat myself up as much over things, including technology.
I have found more and more that I am doing the same. I am rolling with the punches that the kids throw as far as the boomer remarks and this and that. I'm just accepting of it. And I think to myself, my gosh, if you can't show me how to work the remote for the TV, what are you going to do when I need you to change my diaper?
I don't think my kids will be changing diapers. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic that we will be talking about.
Because let me tell you, you guys have been amazing at reaching out to us with topics. So rather than create all kinds of confusion because we are boomers or boomer ones or Gen X 2s or who knows, rather than creating a bunch of confusion, let us tell you this: Uncluttered and Unfiltered. You're going to find us on all the socials that way. That's the website. That if you could subscribe, that is very helpful to us and you. I know some people like to be on an email list. We have that on our website. Again, we're not going to bog you down in details. Just, you know what you need to do. Follow us, subscribe, share. We would so appreciate it.
And also reach out and
Yes.
like she said, let us know if there's something you want to hear about that's an over 50 topic or on organization. Feel free to leave a message on Instagram and let us know.
Also, by the way, I have a friend in my 70s. She wanted to know two things. She wanted to know, am I allowed to listen? I said, of course. And also, she wants all your secrets on your hair, your skin, everything. So get ready
Stay
for that.
tuned for an episode on skin.
Okay. Well, that and so much more is coming your way on Uncluttered and Unfiltered. Until then, we urge you, please let it go.
And don't look back.